Hey guys, I want to tell you a little bit about this rifle. This was my uncle's rifle. All I knew about it was a Jap rifle chambered in a 243, so it was rebarreled in a 243. That's my Uncle Charlie right there on the left. He shot the deer on the right sometime in the early 80s. That's my cousin who was on leave from the Marines, so he checked the deer in. I'm sure we're past the statute limitations. And Uncle Charlie shot that deer with this 243. So it's been in the family a long time. I'm pretty sure that's the last time that this gun was fired, when it shot that deer. My cousin explained that somebody worked on the gun and right now it's inoperable. And I told him I'd take a look at it. I'm not a gunsmith, but I know some people who potentially could steer me in the right direction. And very quickly, some of my friends who knew these rifles pointed out that it's a Arisaka, Japanese Arisaka, Type 99. It was rebarreled in the 243. It's missing a trigger, missing a follower, and I also noticed underneath it's missing a screw right here. So I was concerned about being able to find parts, but I really learned a lot about this rifle. And the Arisaka Type 99, very, very popular. This one is sporterized, obviously. If after the surrender of the Japanese, there used to be a chrysanthemum on top of the receiver to symbolize the emperor, and those were all rubbed off. So if you find one with a chrysanthemum, it was probably captured in battle or was not part of the control of the Japanese government. So I went online to find some parts, and I was able to find an original trigger, and found that on eBay. Surprisingly, I was very quickly was able to find a follower for the Arisaka Type 99. And surprisingly, I have some screws. I found some screws. I got these at Midway. So we're going to put this together, and we're going to see if we can get it firing. I'm going to take it to the range today. And I have some tools. I think that's all we're going to need. But I'll take it over to the bench and we'll get started. Okay, over here at the bench, and the first thing I'm going to do is take the bolt out. The other thing that some of my friends noticed is this bolt wouldn't close. And at first we thought it was a bad fit, but actually with these Arisaka Type 99s, there's a sear in the trigger assembly that will engage the bottom part of the bolt, cocking the rifle, and then it'll allow you to close it. So nothing wrong at all with this bolt. So let's start by just taking the bolt out. There's a lever on the back side of the rifle to release it. And this bolt is in excellent shape. It's the essence of the firearm. These come apart very easy. There's a firing pin, the spring. So we're going to clean those up, grease them up, get them ready to go. And I just need to take this stock off. And so the only thing that's holding it on is that one receiver screw. And I want to be real careful here not to make any scratches. So I'm going to take this off, and then hopefully the screw that I purchased. It's we're going to clean all this up. That obviously is where the follower will go. I'm going to gently lift this out of there. And there we go. So let's get to work on these components. Everything is all cleaned up. I took care of the bolt assembly, put a little grease on the spring, oiled everything else up to include the follower. And the trigger, put a dab of grease on that trigger spring. And this is where I got the trigger, gun parts store on eBay. And when you purchase these, you want to make sure that they have the spring as well as the pin. And I'm not sure how good this trigger is going to be. It'll work, but Timony makes one for this rifle that's a 2-stage, 3.5 pound break. Great for hunting, I would imagine. It's about $130. So if my cousin wants to opt for that, I'll gladly put it in for him. But this is pretty intuitive. It's gonna line up like that, and I'm gonna hammer in that pin. So I'll get set up and we'll do that. Okay, I got this started. You really want to use a plastic hammer so you don't cause any damage. And this is a brass punch, so I'll finish hammering that pin in. Nice thing about brass punches when you're doing any gunsmith work is they will not cause a scratch on steel. So there's our trigger, and we'll see how we're looking from there. So the trigger's in. Let's go ahead and put this bolt assembly back together. And it does go a very specific way where you're going to want that sear on that side. And I put the spring in. And then so we'll just put this back together like that. You can see how that functions. So it's ready to go. The follower, it's going to be quite simple to put this all together. Drop that in. Like so. Put the follower in that way. And then we'll put this firearm back together. See if we can get it to cycle. All right, let's put this back together. Put the trigger guard on first. And then very carefully, we'll lower barrel in the receiver. Piece came off. Put it back in. The magazine. The long screw is going to go in the back. And I have my torque screwdriver. I'll torque them down probably about 20 pounds. Okay. Put the follower in. Fits nicely. Okay, so I have the bolt in, and it closes, and it fires. So let's see if we can get this thing bore-sighted. And everything is back together. I'm going to take the scope off of the mount and put it back on with this torque screwdriver and some of that blue Loctite. And that way, if my cousin ever wants to change the scope, he can do that. But in the meantime, it'll be rock solid. So I cycled it. It seems to work good. The firing pin sounds nice and crisp. So let's get this scope buttoned up and then we'll bore sight it. Okay, so I removed the scope and the mount, and it came off very easy, too easy for a scope and a mount. So we're going to put it back on with that torque screwdriver and, again, some of that blue Loctite. If you remember, I was talking about that chrysanthemum, and surprisingly, when I took the receiver off, there it is. It's not rubbed out. Every gun that was in control of the Japanese government at the end of World War II, that was removed. This was not. So it could have been any number of things to where this was no longer in control of the Japanese government at the end of World War II. Could have been a captured rifle. Who knows? But I thought that was pretty neat. I really would have liked to have seen this in its original condition with its original barrel and original stock, and now I'm intrigued to, I'd really like to have one in the old 7.7 Jap. So I probably have some rings that are a little better, but I'm not going to change a thing. I think that they want it just as is for sentimental reasons, but I am going to tighten up that mount and see you in a bit. So I went ahead and bore sighted it, and the way I did is I took it upstairs on the kitchen table. I took the bolt out. I used this rest, looked through the crosshairs, and then I looked through the barrel, and it looks pretty good. So I'm quite certain we'll be on paper at 25 or 50 yards, wherever we decide to start. And then I took the scope caps off. They hadn't been removed in a long time, so I was able to very gently take them off, and it doesn't say what the increments are. I'm going to guess 1 click equals half MOA. We'll see where we're at, and we'll see how that works. So next step is the range. Not sure I'm going to make it today, but that's the next step.
I know, right? Just high above the one you shot before.
Yeah. No, it's low. It's not low.
Oh.
Yeah,
The one he just shot was higher than the one he shot before that. The second dot is the one that's... That one is right next to the second dot.
So 50 yards, the top 3 were the first 3 shots. Then I came down 4 clicks and over 2, and then the ones at 12 o'clock, 3 at 12 o'clock, those were the second 3 after the adjustment. So still be a little high at 100, but not too bad. Okay, back in the gun room, and again, that's the group we shot. Not too bad. Shot 3, made an adjustment, shot 3 more. The clicks are acting like it's 1/4 inch MOA clicks, so I'm gonna write on the box that I'm going to send to my cousin. I'm going to come down 4 more clicks, which ought to put him about 2 inches high at 50 yards. So that's when we're right in the box. And this is what we're shooting. Jacketed soft point federal. I don't hand load for the 243, 100 grains, but yeah, got it shooting. So I'm gonna get it all cleaned up, get it put away, and it'll be heading back to West Virginia in the near future. If you have any comments, let me know. But I like the 243, and I'm intrigued about this Jap rifle in Arisaka. Like I said, I'd like to have one set up with the original everything.